Welcome into Track 'em Tigers. This Saturday at 3:30 p.m., Auburn welcomes 12th-ranked LSU to Jordan-Hare Stadium in what's expected to be one of the biggest SEC matchups of the year. Speaking of welcoming someone in, I want to welcome in my co-host, former Central High football coach Ron Nelson. Coach, how are you?
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate to be here.
Glad to have you. Last week after the show, I got so much feedback on Coach Nelson and the job he did that I picked up the phone a day or two later and asked him if he would come and join us full time, and he graciously accepted. I actually begged, and he graciously accepted. So, Coach, excited to have you this year.
Thank you very much, Jay. Just love talking Auburn football.
Yeah, going to be fun. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, Extreme Power Sports. It's getting to be hunting season, so if you need that ATV or if you're still in the market for a motorcycle, a jet ski, whatever, head on over and see our friend Jason Dyer and his team over at Extreme Power Sport. They'll take care of you, and like I said last week, hey, they're good Auburn people. So, Coach, you said last week going into the Alabama State game there were two things that needed to happen. One, we needed to take care of business, and two, we didn't want to get anybody hurt. Looks like we accomplished both. Auburn 63, Alabama State 9.
Yes, it was it started off a little slow, and that's expected sometimes when you're playing down in competition a little bit. But I thought they picked it up in the middle, towards the end of the first quarter and all the second quarter, and it was a great win. But like you said, because you got to play a lot of people, and then not only get to play a lot of people, but then also we got everybody pretty much healthy. So and we're gonna need that this week.
Yeah. Stats all over the place. Auburn played a record 90-plus players. I guess that is a result of the new redshirt, this rule that says you can play up to 4 games now before you have to declare redshirt. So I didn't even know Auburn had 90 people on the roster.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're going to have, I think you're allowed 125. I think you've got 85 that's going to be on scholarship, and you can have so many. Maybe it's not quite 125, but only 85 can be on scholarship. So that was, it's good for that to happen and to see that many kids get to play.
Yeah. Boobie Whitlow, 122 yards in limited action. Jared Stidham, 113 yards through the air. He didn't play a whole lot. Big story, Anthony Schwartz. We've been hearing all offseason how fast this freshman is. The question was, did he have the hands to go with it? He may be the fastest receiver I've seen since, Alexander Wright back in the late 80s.
I've done some research on Anthony, and he's a world-class sprinter. Could have had a track scholarship to anywhere. Carl Lewis tried to sign him just to a track scholarship.
Wow.
And but like you said, the question was his hands. But Lord, when he ran that post route, he was just out the gate. This kid's got a bright future.
Yeah. Cool thing about the game, and I know a lot of people don't like playing these kind of opponents, and it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but there is a plus side to it, a silver lining. We saw that from a Phoenix City native, Trent Kelly, who was a central lineman, a preferred walk-on. I graduated with his father, Donnie. Knew his aunt Kathy. Just a great story.
Yes, it is. I'm so proud of Trent. He was a preferred walk-on. Trent got some scholarship money as far as academics. He's very, very intelligent. I know he's happy. I know his family's happy, and it's just a great honor. To walk on. To be a walk on, it takes a special person, and because it's a lot of hard work that you got to put in, and to see him get on the field, I'm glad to see that.
Good kid.
Great kid. Great family.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's turn to LSU. Auburn, Alabama may be the biggest rivalry in college football. There's no question Auburn LSU is the strangest. You go back to the earthquake game in '88. Yeah. You go back to when the old Auburn Arena burned in '96. 2 years ago, LSU scores the winning touchdown with 0 seconds left on the clock, only to have it nullified because they didn't get the snap off. Last year, Auburn is up by 20 in Death Valley and lose the football game. You ever been around a stranger rivalry than this one?
Well, I could go on and on. How about the 5 interceptions that we got
94.
In 94?
Yeah.
And then it just always seems like when we play LSU that to expect the unexpected. Yeah. And last year we totally dominated the game in the first half, and then we let them score right before halftime, and then we gave up a special team punt return for a touchdown. and momentum just switched. I'm looking for what we did the first half maybe this year instead of what we did the second half.
Yeah. You talk about the last year's LSU comeback. All we've heard this week is, Auburn, they've got revenge on their mind. Being a former coach, how much does that matter year to year?
Not really, because every team's different. Sure, it's in the back of your mind. But as far as a revenge type thing, if you're thinking more about revenge than what your responsibilities are, you're going to be in trouble. So I think, yes, this game is circled because it's the first big SEC game. And I think there's more reason for that than what happened last year.
Yeah. Auburn won 14 consecutive home games, 8 against SEC opponents, 10.5-point favorite. What do you think about that line?
It's a little high. I really not expecting it. You automatically going to get 3 to 4 points playing at home. And that's just going to be tough to overcome. 10.5 points is a lot of points.
Yeah.
But I just hope Auburn gets back by 1. I'll be happy.
Absolutely. LSU, and going into the season, obviously LSU is big every year, but didn't seem to get as big until after the Miami win for them. I was looking at the line back in July. It opened at 12, got down to 10.5, and this morning it was flirting around at 10. So LSU getting more respect. They talk about Ed Orgeron, talk about him being on the hot seat. He's won 8 of his last 10 games.
Yeah, that's just but newspapers and social media, want something to talk about. But I think Coach Orgeron, you got to give him time. I think he's done a good job. He's assembled a great staff, and then to the point where that team is going to be good because LSU is traditionally going to be good. And they're going to stay that way.
Yeah. Both the storyline, both teams very strong on defense. Both coming to the game with 9 sacks. LSU had 5 last week, 4 against Miami. Auburn has 9 sacks. That's second nationally. The talk is it's going to be a defensive battle. The question is which offense can step up and win the football game.
Well, both defenses are going to be extremely tough. They're both our front seven and their front seven is probably the meat and the heart of what Auburn football and LSU football is. It's going to be extremely tough to run the football, but the team that can run the football, I think, will have the chance to win.
Yeah. LSU defeated Southeastern Louisiana 31-0. A game similar to what Auburn faced with Alabama State. Not a big test. Talk about LSU's quarterback. We read about Joe Burrow all year, Ohio State transfer. Everybody said last year that what LSU was missing was a quarterback, at least through the first game, and we don't know how good Miami is, but at least through the first game, and last week didn't really tell us anything. Looks like they may have found a quarterback, though.
Well, I think they do, and he's not flashy or anything like that. If you look at his stats, his completion ratio is not very high, and it's not in the 60s and 70s. But sometimes he looks like just watching him, and I watched him last night on TV being interviewed. Looks like he has that little confidence about himself and a little arrogance that you might need at quarterback. And I think the main thing is his leadership.
Yeah.
And, so I think, so far it's going to be a big test for him, I know, but it'll be a big test for Auburn secondary also.
Yeah. Played a little bit at Ohio State, not a lot. Never faced an atmosphere like Jordan-Hare Stadium in the middle of the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be different for him. And I hope Auburn people get out there and express and get to the point where maybe we can rally them a little bit.
Yeah, should be crazy. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to dig deeper into this game after these messages.
She's ready. Extreme Power Sports' very own Polaris RZR Skylifter XP1000. Trinity Exhaust, Power Commander, 6-inch portals, RZR 3 to 5-inch lift, MSA 20-inch wheels wrapped with 35-inch BKTs, deluxe audio roof, LED light bar, Mud Park ready. We are ready to finance you on this Skylifter right now. Come check out all our off-road machines today at Extreme Power Sports.
And welcome back in. Coach, we talk about SEC speed all the time. Talk about speed, talk about how important quickness is. Auburn's got 2 fast ones. They've got Shaun Shivers, somebody not a whole lot of people knew about. Rushed for 117 yards against Alabama State. We talked about Anthony Schwartz. Talk about their speed a little bit.
Well, Anthony Schwartz he's got world-class speed in the 100, as we talked about earlier. The side note that people don't know is that Shaun Shivers, they both was in the same region when they was in high school, and they competed in track. And that's the reason that both of them end up coming to Auburn, because, being so close on the track. But the Shivers kid, they said, would always dominate him in the 200-meter, but Schwartz would always dominate the 100-meter. So to have two world-class speeds like that, that's just a plus for Auburn.
Yeah, did not know that about Shivers. That's something I didn't know. Talk about the running game a little bit. Cam Martin, not a lot of carries. We've talked about Boobie Whitlow a lot. Where does this Shivers kid fit in?
Well, I mean, if you watch college football today and you watch the other teams, whether it be Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, the day of the one running back, that's history. You're going to have 2 to 3 running backs and to be able to stay healthy and fresh, so forth. But, the thing I liked about our running game is, primarily against Washington, we were strictly inside zone. We ran a lot of what I call buck sweep. Some people call it truck. When we're going to pull 2 guards, everybody's blocking down. Boobie got a lot of positive yardage off that. Cam did too. Shivers did late. We ran a couple of speed sweeps or quick pitches type thing. We did run the outside zone to just because of the speed we got, we're going to need to do that to get outside.
Yeah. So you see it as a committee kind of thing this year?
I do. I mean, I think you're going to see more and more of Boobie as you go because of his size. He's bigger than the other backs. And
you think Whitlow's the every down back for the most part?
Well, I think Cam will still be in there, but they'll be different things. But you'll probably see more Boobie just because of the size factor.
Gotcha. Earlier this week, if you watched SEC Network, you've probably seen Jordan Rogers. He was the former Vanderbilt quarterback. Pretty Boy was on the Apprentice, not the Apprentice. What was that show? Bachelor, whatever that crap was. He's been real critical of Auburn this year. He was critical of them earlier this week. Said that taking the Alabama State game out of the equation, that he's got some concerns about Auburn's running game and their receiving attack. He says he's just not sold on them being able to do this week in, week out against quality SEC opponents. I didn't see that against Washington. I know that we didn't have a lot of receivers get a lot of yards. I think all of them 50-something yards each between the 3 primaries. But what are your thoughts on that?
Jordan who?
Yeah.
I kind of remember him playing quarterback at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, everybody's got an opinion. No, we don't have the big back right now. Is that like Kerryon was last year, or like we said last week, Trey Mason? But give it time. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and instead of Kerryon like last year and the year before when we had to carry it 20, 25, 30 times a game, I don't have to do that this year. So everybody be fresh and go. As far as our wide receivers, I like our wide receivers. Darius Slayton's been hurt. When we get him full speed back, our 2 inside guys, Hastings and Eli, when both of them are coming back, when we get those 2 guys back, they add with freshmen and Ryan Davis says, hey, our receiving crew is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Your Gus Malzahn, your Chip Lindsey, you're sitting over in the complex today. What are you doing from a game plan standpoint to get ready for this LSU defense? They remind you a lot of Auburn. They get a lot of pressure up front. Got some pretty stout defensive backs. Kind of very similar in how they play.
I think it'll be a situation where it'll almost be like playing or practicing in the spring, because you could be playing against a defense that's similar to ours, real similar, and very good athletes up front that can run, good linebacking core, secondary. Game planning wise, you either run to set the pass or you pass to set the run. But basically, what you got to do is you just gonna have to be balanced. We're not going to run the football on LSU consistently all night long. That's just not going to happen. There again, from the same token, I don't think LSU's going to do it. It's which team can play action pass and get the ball on the corners, and then you got to take your shots. I know Chip Lindsey and Chip. He's going to have him 3 or 4 plays where he can throw deep and try to hit the home run. So, and if you can be successful on maybe 1 or 2 of those guys, then you got a chance. But it's going to be an old-fashioned, head-knocking SEC football game, and so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Ryan Davis, Craig Nate Myers. Now we're talking about Schwartz. What do they have to do Saturday?
Well, I think the biggest thing they're going to have to do is off the play action. I just see us doing a lot of play action. I see us running a lot of jet sweep. I see us doing play action off the jet sweep. We've, when you got the double twins, and you come to the speed sweep to that side.
Is that with Schwartz?
Yes, and I really think you'll see that. I think you'll see him kind of take what Caleb did, back in 13. So, but if their secondary comes down to take the jet sweep away, then you'll have double slants behind that, and they're vacating where that strong safety or outside linebacker came from. And which is basically your RPO. That's a run pass option, and Jarrett's going to have to read that. And I think we can get some big plays off that.
How much of Auburn's offense now is RPO?
I really hadn't stopped down and thought about it, but it's probably I would say probably 60 to 70%. Because every time that we run in the inside zone, he has the ability to check and pull and run the bubble screen, because it's all a numbers game. Yeah. And if their numbers are out there and they're evenly matched with us, we're gonna run the football. They got more in the box, and we're gonna run the bubble screen or the sit or the stick route off of it.
Yeah. Interesting. Special teams. We talked about last year when Auburn blew the 20-point lead. It started with that 79-yard punt return. Special teams is important. Aiden Marshall, Auburn's punter for the first game, or at least for one punt, has left. That brings in the Aaron Sipos, who is the Australian rules football kicker, averaging 40 yards a kick. Talk about special teams. Talk about Anders Carlson. Missed a couple, probably a little bit of nerves in the Washington game. How important in games like this are special teams?
Very important. The old saying that the game's broke down to three categories: offense, defense, and special teams. You've got to win two of the three. Last year, we didn't win the special teams, and then we ended up getting beat because of it. The Australian punter, I can't pronounce his name, but the thing he brings to it is hang time. Where Aiden might have had a stronger leg as far as distance-wise, but his hang time was not as good. Nowadays, as far as him transferring, the day of sitting there and trying to work your way back into number one's over. It's like they give up. Quarterbacks and punters are a lot alike. There ain't but one of them.
Right.
And so they can't be the man. They're going to look to transfer. But I think our kicking is going to be fine. Carlson is, he had a little jitters. Really like his leg. Like we said last week, like the fact that he kicks the ball in the end zone. He did that pretty consistent against Washington, and he'll need to get it against LSU also. Yeah.
Before we go on break, I want you to talk about the Phoenix City Cal Ripken team, the 9-under group, recently won the World Series. I know you've got some involvement in that.
It was, yes. I had a blast this summer. I'm helped coach my grandson's 9-year-old all-star team, which is Cal Ripken, and we was fortunate enough to win our district, finish second in state. Should have won, but we didn't. But the top two teams got to go to the regionals. We ended up getting a rematch with Daphne. We beat them that had beat us in state. We won the Southwest regionals, and we got to go to the World Series. Wow. And it was a World Series in Jensen Beach, Florida, which is pretty close to Port St. Lucie. And the little buggers went down there and represented Phoenix City proud, and came back with a trophy of winning the World Series.
That's great.
It's I told them it's that's something that when you'll sit down 20, 30 years from now, you'll still be friends with these guys and you'll still talk about that.
Oh, absolutely. The memories.
Oh, yes. Always does.
Yeah. Congratulations to all of the players. Just awesome way to represent Phoenix City. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to dig into the defensive side of the ball and wrap things up.
Razor XP has earned its place as the world's best-selling performance side-by-side. Now, the off-road's most successful Predator looks even hungrier. For 2019, Razor XPs are cut more aggressively. The chiseled muscular style, premium digital instruments, and wicked LED accents all hint at the heart of the animal within. Choose a Ride Command edition with off-road worthy touchscreen that puts total control at your fingertips. Or grab a Dynamics edition and discover the terrain-dominating power of smart suspension. Extreme performance has never looked so good. Build your XP at PolarisRazor.com.
And welcome back in. Coach, let's talk a moment again about the LSU defense. Talk about Dave Aranda, what his unit, the problems he's going to cause for the Auburn offense.
Coach Aranda, he's a great defensive coordinator. I could be wrong, but I think he's the highest paid coordinator.
I think he is
in college football, and he justly deserves that. I don't know him personally, but I do know from what I've read that he is a hard-nosed coach, but the players love him, and they really like playing for him. Schematically, he's been one of the best in the business, and very, very knowledgeable of taking away what you do best and disguising his coverages. And that's the thing that Jarrett's going to have to do this week is film study. I know is going to be so important because he's going to have to diagnose what he dials up, because it's going to be a bunch of different stuff, a bunch of different looks. Yeah,
I watched a little bit of the Southeast Louisiana game on Sunday on the SEC Network. They gave up 37 yards on 31 offensive plays in the first half.
Wow.
Pretty stout.
It's a very stout.
Miami game. I went back and looked at some film on that. They did not let the Miami offense get beyond the 40-yard line until midway through the third quarter.
Well,
it's a big test.
This is what's going to be so interesting, and to me, this is what's going to be the key to the game. It's first down. Both coaches, Coach Steele also, they're going to stress to put the defense in a one-dimensional road. You know, on first down, whether it be run pass, you want to get 5+, because then it gets to the point where, hey, now I got 2 downs to get 5. I still got the run pass option if I want to. If I pick up negative yards or 1 yard, I'm second at 9. Now the pass comes into play and you can change your defense. So I think first down is going to be very, very crucial in this ball game.
Yeah. Auburn last year gave up 20 plays of 30 yards or more as far as passes.
Yeah.
This year they've given up 4 already. If there is a weakness on the Auburn defense, it seems to be where it's coming off the ball. Kevin Steele this week said his DBs are not getting beat on the run. They're getting beat on the first 3 steps off the line of scrimmage. Yeah. How do you coach that?
Well, Auburn's playing a lot of man press coverage, and the first thing that when you're playing man and press is that you're trying to disrupt the receiver's route. So you got to get your hands on them. But as soon as you get your hands on them, you've got to turn and flip your hips, and you got to get to the point where you're going to be running with him or in his back pocket. And we're just messing up technique-wise just a little bit there. So I'm sure they worked hard on that this week. And, I think Noah, before it's all said and done, I think he's going to be a big-time cornerback just because of his size and his strength and his speed.
Yeah.
He just needs to get the experience.
Yeah. We talked about game planning from an offensive standpoint. If you're Kevin Steele, what are you doing to get ready for this LSU offense?
LSU, you've got to stop the run. That is what, Coach Orgeron believes in it. Coach Emsfinger know him very well when he worked at Auburn University many years with Coach Tuberville. And they're going to run the football. But they're going to run the football to basically set the pass up. So it's just not going to be all run, but they're going to set it up some. But before the day is over with, we're going to have to stop their running back.
Yeah. You've coached big games. You've played in big games. How do you handle the adversity when there's a big play? And we know they're going to be big plays Saturday.
I think the biggest thing that you got to do is big plays are going to happen. When that play is over with, they ain't no use to sit and dwell on it anymore. You got to look forward to the next play and the next one, because you're not going to change the outcome of what just happened. And you just got to hope that your technique's sound and don't give up a big play. But if that happens, it's over.
Yeah.
You just get ready to play the next down.
Right. All right. The LSU offense has been like a soap opera. Steve Ensminger steps down last year. Matt Canada comes in. Ed Orgeron does not have clearly a good working relationship with Canada. A lot of people blamed Canada, but you see what he's doing at Maryland this year as interim coach. So not necessarily a bad coach, but maybe a bad fit. Talk about Steve Ensminger, what he brings. You talked about his time at Auburn. What does he bring to this LSU offense?
Well, I think the biggest thing was with Coach Canada and Orgeron is that I think Coach Orgeron said, hey, it's too much shifting. And try to get his hands on it a little bit. And I think Canada kind of got a little offended by that. But in the long run, it's Coach Orgeron's team. He's the head coach, and so I think that's what he's got in Coach Ensminger, is that he knows what Coach Orgeron's philosophy is, and he's going to do that. They're going to be a run team, but they have not had the quarterback that can throw downfield the last 2 or 3 years. This guy can. So like I said, it's just going to be a situation that Ensminger, I think he knows Auburn's front seven is very good. Wouldn't surprise me all to see play action pass early.
Yeah.
But before this end of the day, which team runs the football?
Right.
Is going to have the best chance to win.
Speaking of running the football, Nick Brossette, he came in to the Miami game as the second string back, quickly took over against the Hurricanes, and now seems to have a job.
I watched him that first half, and I watched the whole ball game. But in that first half, I was convinced right there that is LSU's running back. Typical running back. The thing that impresses you about Nick is he runs downhill. He's not a side-to-side runner. He's going to run downhill. He's going to gas you, whatever it takes. That's an LSU running back.
Yeah.
We said last week that some teams can just change uniforms or numbers and they look the same. LSU, as far as running backs, the same way.
Yeah. 7 o'clock Saturday night. What can Auburn fans expect? Game's over.
Game's over. Hopefully we're going to see Auburn win a close ball game.
Think it'll be close?
I do. I don't see either team capabilities to really blow it wide open. If one team had that capability, it would probably be Auburn. But I see a close ball game and right around the point spread, probably 7 to 10 points.
Yeah. Looking across the SEC this week, just a clunker of a schedule for the rest of the teams. I guess the biggest other conference games, Alabama and Ole Miss, and don't really have a lot of high expectations for Ole Miss in that one. They can play offense, but
if Ole Miss gonna give up 40-something plus to Southern Illinois, what is Alabama gonna do to them?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. I think Ole Miss's offense will score some points on Alabama. But Alabama's offense is just so explosive that I just don't. There's no way they can score with them.
Yeah. Vanderbilt got a chance against Notre Dame?
I haven't watched Notre Dame just a little bit. Probably personnel, they should be outmatched a little bit, but you never know.
Yeah.
And that's the reason they call it, any given Saturday.
That's it.
Anything can happen.
That's it. Should be a good Saturday of football. Auburn kicks off against LSU Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. Be sure to tune in if you're in the area and have a ticket. By all means, go. We'll see you next week here on Track 'em Tigers. Thank you.